Hi and welcome back to Joe Talks Cars and welcome to another video. In today's video I've got my friend's brand new car here, well brand new to him, I've forgotten what it even is. Hi and welcome back to Joe Talks Cars and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a video on my friend's new car, his SKODA OCTAVIA VRS. And I'm going to find out whether or not I think this is a good alternative to something like a Golf GTI or a Golf R. So what do we have here? Well, what we have is a SKODA OCTAVIA VRS, the 245 horsepower version in estate form. I think it's in Meteor Grey, which is very similar to Nardo Grey. I think you can agree it looks absolutely stunning. Sat on these 18-inch wheels and with the black pack, it really does set the car off and makes it look a little bit more interesting than what you normally find from Skodas. So like I said earlier, this is the estate version of this car. You can get them in a saloon, but personally I wouldn't bother. It looks a lot nicer as an estate and it even has sort of Audi RS6 vibes with the exhaust and just the general look of the thing. I think it's a really, really nice looking car. Under the bonnet in this car is 245 horsepower 2-litre engine, similar to that you find in the Golf GTI or the Golf R, just a slightly reworked version is in those cars. You can get a 230 horsepower version, but it's not the one you want because you would probably feel that 15 horsepower deficit. This car will go from 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles an hour. So for a car with this much practicality, I'd say that's not that bad, considering the weight of the thing. That'll probably do.
273 foot-pounds of torque.
I've missed the boat on the torque figure. No one really cares. SKODA OCTAVIA has been in the range for years and it's gone through various styling tweaks, but I think that this version of it is the best and most successful, especially with these cutouts on the lights. I think it's a really stunning car. The best thing about the SKODA OCTAVIA is, of course, it's based on a Golf. So you're getting the really good Golf quality and reliability, and yet you're getting it in a totally differently styled package. And I don't think you could say that this car is boring. It's certainly not embarrassing anymore to have a SKODA badge on the front of your car. But inside the SKODA OCTAVIA, it's a really, really nice place to be. And I know that's a cliche, but with these really nicely designed seats with the SKODA VRS badging, it really does brighten the place up and makes it not feel so much like a taxi like you would normally expect from a SKODA. There's badging everywhere on the gear stick and on the steering wheel to remind you that you're in something slightly more special than just a bog standard SKODA. This car is fitted with some really, really nice options such as heated seats, heated steering wheel, and most importantly, Apple CarPlay. I absolutely love Apple CarPlay. I wish I had it in both of my cars. I have it in neither of them, and in my next car, it's definitely something that I must have. It makes the whole driving experience so much nicer. This car is the 7-speed DSG, which is the transmission choice that I would pick. It makes the car so easy to drive and makes it really, really quick. This car is also available with a 6-speed manual. I wouldn't necessarily go for that, but for people that like to change gear manually, then there is that option as well. So as with all DSG boxes, you've got flappy pedals on the steering wheel, and you can change gear using the gear selector down here. But most people just leave it in drive and just accelerate really hard out of every bend, because that's what the DSG does really well. It actually picks the right gear at the right moment. Things that this car would say is missing, it's missing a panoramic roof. I think it would brighten the whole interior up. This dark headlining is very similar to the Golf GTI. Although it looks nice and feels quite sporty, I do feel like it would have improved the car significantly. Also, weirdly, for this year, they haven't fitted it with the digital dials, which you get in all other VWs. I don't understand why they haven't done that. I'm assuming it's a cost thing, but I'm not entirely sure. But a Golf of this same era would have them, so I don't know why they've done that. But again, I don't really have a massive problem with analog dials, just on the fact that I feel that digital dials will just go out of date and start looking old pretty quickly. So you're not going to have this issue with this car if you were to keep it long term. Comfort levels are really high. These seats grab you, hold you in the bends really nicely, and it's just a really nice spacious car to sit in. It doesn't feel overly large, but it's big enough to carry everything that you can possibly need. There's plenty of storage pockets in the doors. The glove box is large, and you've got a central storage compartment here. All makes for a really nice driving experience and a very, very usable daily car. So in the back, it's a very similar space to the front. You've got the similar designed quilted seats with the VRS stitching. You've also got a ton of legroom. I'm 6 foot tall, the front seat is in my position, and I've got absolutely loads of room. It's massive back here. In the back, you've got a ski hatch, which is very helpful if you want to carry skis. I literally don't know a single person that puts skis in the car. I don't know why car manufacturers insist on fitting them, but yeah, if you want to carry skis, you can do. It's got ISOFIX points if you've got children, and a massive boot, which we'll show you a little bit later. The boot size in this car is absolutely massive. It's plenty big enough for a large man.
Hello.
And anything else that you want to carry, such as dogs, or even skis, as it turns out. So it's clearly big enough to fit any number of things, including dead bodies or anything, but it's also got really nice features, such as hooks to hang your bags on, stop them flying around this massive boot. It's got a removable light from the boot, so you can use it as a torch. It's just clever little things like that that separate this car from its Golf counterpart. It's got an underfloor storage compartment to make the boot even bigger. On top of the 640 litres of boot space that you already have, a quick pull at these levers will chuck the back seats down. They didn't even go down, but you'll be able to see that. A quick pull of these levers will send the back seats down, turning this into essentially a van. And it's generally just a massive place. You could easily go to IKEA and just load it up with all sorts of stuff. So I think the last thing we need to do now is jump in, take this car out on these amazing roads that we have in North Yorkshire and see what it really is like, how it compares to a Golf GTI, and whether it really is an alternative to one. So what's this car like on the road? Well, I've driven it across various types of terrain, including really bumpy roads like we're on now, and some of the more smoother main roads. And I have to say, the car handles all these different types of roads perfectly. It's really comfortable, but also very compliant when travelling at speed around some of the corners. The suspension is just the right side of firm, and the seats are really super comfortable and supportive, so it does feel like you can push on quite hard. You're able to rely on the car as well. The brakes are really strong, and they're very servoed as you'd expect. "245 horsepower may not seem like a great deal of power these days, but trust me, it's plenty in this car. That, coupled with the DSG gearbox, means you can build speed amazingly quickly, and you're never really wanting for anything more. Compared with my Golf GTI, I'd say it's probably on par. The statistics would say they are about the same. Just with the Golf having the less weight means it needs less power. But both are equally quick cars. This would probably beat it in a race, just down to that gearbox, because there's no way you can change gear faster than a DSG gearbox. This is a really good alternative to a Golf GTI. It's certainly got the power and the pace to keep up with one, but with the added practicality and the slightly different styling and more unique looks of this car. We've all come to get used to what a Golf GTI looks like, and some people would regard them as boring. I think this just makes a slightly different alternative to choose from, and a bit more of an interesting choice. In terms of the noise this thing makes, it's not overly amazing. In fact, it's pretty quiet, but it does pump in some artificial noises into the cabin, which don't sound all that bad. The camera won't be picking them up because we're not traveling quick enough, but it doesn't sound overly fake. The only reason I knew it was fake is because I'd read about it and I expected the car to have that. From the outside, it makes absolutely no noise. Obviously, that could be sorted with an exhaust, which I personally wouldn't do, because this is a type of car that you're going to use as your everyday car, and having loud exhaust on your everyday car is not something I'd want to be doing. This engine is worth mentioning though, because this engine has been used throughout the entire Golf range for years. As far as I'm aware, it's just a tweaked version of what's in my 2010 Golf GTI. It's the 2-litre engine. It's really good, really reliable, and they've refined it over the years to give it a little bit more power and more reliability. Obviously, they're extremely tunable, and I can imagine a remap on one of these would take this well north of 300 horsepower and should make it a pretty good proposition compared with an Audi S4 for a lot less money. Let's talk about the competitors though, because what else is there out there for this kind of money? This car cost 26 grand second hand. It's only a couple of years old, and I can't think of many cars out there that offer you this much space, this much refinement and pace for that kind of money. The alternatives are obviously Audi S4s, Golf R estates and things like that, but all of which cost a lot more money. Yes, they offer more power, but it's a lot more cash. The running cost of this is amazing. It should achieve high 30s, but realistically, driven properly, you're looking at 30. So again, not that bad. Road tax is fairly cheap at £120 a year, which is 5 times less than what I pay for my Porsche. Like I said, the noise of it is artificial, but sounds pretty nice. It's quite realistic and does sound similar to my Golf GTI, which obviously runs the same sort of engine. The gear changes are super quick and really smooth. I've recently driven a Golf R with the same gearbox, and although it seems to change gear even quicker, I think that's just down to mapping. It makes it more aggressive, whereas this is tuned slightly on the softer side, and I prefer it. You can't tell when it's selecting a gear. You just build speed and you just see the numbers changing on the dashboard. It's pretty impressive, to be fair. So at the moment we're cruising along in normal mode. There is actually a button called VRS mode, which I'll press now. That will increase the steering responsiveness, the throttle responsiveness, and it just generally feels like a lot more sporty car. You can certainly say this car has like a Jekyll and Hyde personality, because it starts out, you get in it, and it does feel like any other Skoda. Apart from the nice seats and the slightly better interior, you could be mistaken for thinking this is a normal car. Press the VRS mode and it comes alive and really does turn into that sports car you would be led to believe by the badging. The VRS mode not only increases the steering responsiveness and the throttle, but it also increases that artificial sound I talked about earlier, which again, a bit of sound can really improve the experience and make you feel like you're in something a lot sportier. I mean, it's a shame that cars don't come with louder exhaust now, and a lot of them don't come with valves, but with the latest emissions and all the pressure that manufacturers are on to keep their emissions down means that they have to put filters in the exhaust, so you're never going to get a good noise out of a 4-pot engine anymore. Those days are long gone, so you have to rely on some artificial noise, which I haven't got a massive issue with. So do I now think that this offers a good alternative to something like a Golf GTI? Well, I have to say categorically, yes it does. It offers everything the GTI offers, but with added practicality. It offers the similar type of performance, the similar sporty looks, yet the understated looks, and the build quality is, as you'd expect from this car manufacturer, absolutely fantastic. So yes, it does offer a really valid alternative to a GTI. It almost does offer an alternative to a Golf R if your budget's slightly lower and you're looking for something similar, because it's a very similar car to a Golf R estate. It just lacks the power and that 4-wheel drive capability. Nothing that a remap couldn't solve, because 300 horsepower going through the front wheels these days is still absolutely fine. So I'd say that a remap on one of these would be a genuine competitor to a Golf R. So would I personally buy one? Well, because I've already got a Golf GTI, I would say not. I wouldn't swap my Golf GTI for it because they offer too much of the same thing, but that is a massive compliment to this car. But if I was looking for something fast, estate, and that I could use every single day, I would definitely consider it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a slightly different one to my norm, not talking about Porsches for once, talking about Skodas. But I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider clicking that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.